welcome to our channel. Today we're talking about the book Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson.
Ah, yes.
This is authorized biography. So Isaacson had incredible access.
He did.
Over 40 interviews with Jobs over 2 years.
Oh.
But what's really insightful is that he also interviewed over 100 other people.
Right.
Family, friends, colleagues, even competitors.
Yeah, to get the full picture.
To paint a complete picture of this complicated, brilliant man.
It's not just a retelling of events, you know?
Right.
It's like you really get a sense of the man.
And get the man behind the myth.
Yeah, his motivations, his fears.
Triumphs and failure.
I love it.
Okay, let's dive into that.
Okay.
The book starts with Steve's early life, and I was struck by how his adoption shaped his worldview. Knowing he was given up by his biological parents had a profound impact on him.
Yeah.
Almost giving him this sense of being chosen for something special.
It's fascinating how that awareness of being different, you know, seemed to fuel his drive and ambition. You see it in his early fascination with electronics.
Absolutely.
And his almost rebellious streak at school.
Yeah, he wasn't content to follow the rules.
No.
He wanted to bend reality to his will.
Exactly.
There's a great anecdote in the book about Steve's father.
Okay.
Paul teaching him how to build a fence. Paul emphasized that even the unseen parts should be crafted with care and precision.
That's interesting.
It's such a powerful metaphor for Steve's later approach to product design.
I see that.
He applied that same meticulousness to Apple products.
Yeah.
The attention to detail, the beautiful design.
Right.
Even in the components you don't normally see.
That's a good point.
And speaking of influences, growing up in Silicon Valley during its nascent years must have been incredibly formative.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine being 12, building a frequency counter.
Wow.
And having the audacity to call Bill Hewlett for parts.
That's amazing.
It speaks to his confidence and his early understanding of the power of networks.
Yeah, for sure.
But it wasn't just about technical prowess.
Right.
The book also talks about his interest in Zen Buddhism, which he explored during a trip to India after dropping out of Reed College.
That seems to have had a huge impact on his aesthetic sensibilities.
Right, and his pursuit of simplicity.
Absolutely. It's interesting to see how these seemingly disparate interests, from calligraphy to Eastern philosophy, all contributed to his unique design philosophy. And his belief that technology could be both beautiful and transformative.
Totally.
And speaking of transformative experiences, remember those blue boxes?
Oh, yes.
Those were illegal devices that allowed people to make free long-distance calls.
That's a wild story. He and Wozniak, his partner in crime at the time, were building and selling these things while still teenagers.
Unbelievable.
Talk about an early entrepreneurial spirit.
That episode really showcases their complementary skills.
Right.
You have Jobs, the charismatic salesman, and Wozniak, the brilliant engineer.
The perfect pair.
Already laying the foundation for their future partnership at Apple.
It's remarkable to see how those early experiences foreshadowed their later success.
Yeah.
This entrepreneurial drive and that instinct to push boundaries are traits we see throughout Jobs' career.
Absolutely.
And for anyone out there looking for that spark of motivation, I highly recommend checking out the Affirmified Journey YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
They've got some great content that might inspire you.
What's truly fascinating is how those early experiences laid the groundwork for his unwavering belief in his ability to change the world.
Right.
Even if it meant bending the rules along the way.
It makes you wonder, was Steve Jobs simply in the right place at the right time?
Right.
Or did he, through sheer force of will, create his own luck?
That's the question, isn't it?
That's a question worth pondering as we delve deeper into the formation of Apple Computer.
Definitely. The story of Apple's founding is often told, but what I find particularly intriguing is the role of Mike Markkula. He wasn't just an investor, you know?
Right.
He became their mentor, their guide in the often treacherous world of business.
He brought that much-needed structure and business acumen.
Exactly.
Jobs and Wozniak had the vision and the technical brilliance.
They did.
But Markkula helped them translate that into a viable company.
He saw the potential in their early Apple II computer, not just as a hobbyist machine, but as a product that could disrupt the entire personal computing industry.
It's easy to forget now.
It is.
But at the time, computers were seen as these intimidating, complex machines relegated to universities and research labs.
Yeah, for sure.
The Apple II changed all that.
It did.
It was user-friendly, relatively affordable, And it opened up the world of computing to a much wider audience.
Absolutely.
It really set the stage for the personal computer revolution.
And that's where Jobs' vision really comes into play.
Okay.
He wasn't content with just making functional computers.
Right.
He wanted to create machines that were beautiful, intuitive, and almost magical to use.
That obsession with design and user experience is what led to the Macintosh.
It is.
The book talks about how he visited Xerox PRC and saw their graphical user interface.
Oh, wow.
A radical departure from the text-based interfaces of the time.
What's remarkable is that Jobs didn't simply copy what Xerox was doing.
Right.
He saw the potential, but he also saw its flaws.
I see.
The Xerox Alto, for example, was bulky and expensive.
Yeah.
Jobs wanted to create something that was elegant, affordable, and accessible to the masses.
And he was willing to push his team to the absolute limit to achieve that vision.
He was.
The book talks about his reality distortion field.
Yes.
It's an almost supernatural ability to convince himself and others that the impossible was possible.
There's a story in the book about the Macintosh team struggling to meet a seemingly impossible deadline. Jobs, in his typical fashion, insisted that they could make it happen. He rallied the team, instilled this belief that they were on a mission to change the world.
Wow.
And somehow they pulled it off.
It sounds almost cult-like.
It does.
But there's no denying its effectiveness.
No.
That unwavering belief, that almost irrational optimism was a key part of his success.
It was.
But it also led to conflicts.
Right? Yeah.
He could be incredibly demanding and difficult to work with.
Absolutely. The book doesn't shy away from his darker side. He could be ruthless, manipulative, and even cruel at times, especially to those he perceived as standing in his way.
It's true.
His departure from Apple, the company he co-founded, is a testament to that.
That period with the founding of NXT is often seen as a failure.
Yeah.
But it's actually a crucial part of his story.
It is.
He was forced to confront his own limitations.
Right.
To learn from his mistakes.
And it's during this time that he acquired Pixar.
Okay.
Initially, a computer graphics company struggling to find its footing, Jobs saw its potential.
He did.
Not just in its technology, but in the storytelling power of animation.
Pixar's success with films like Toy Story is often attributed to John Lasseter and Ed Catmull.
Right.
But Jobs played a key role.
He did.
He provided the structure, the resources, and the creative freedom they needed to flourish.
He gave them space.
And it's interesting to see how his experience with Pixar, this more collaborative environment, seemed to soften some of his rough edges.
Yes. There's a sense that he learned valuable lessons during his time away from Apple.
Yeah.
Lessons that would serve him well upon his triumphant return.
It's a classic comeback story.
It is.
Apple, the company he built, was on the verge of collapse.
Wow.
And he was brought back to save it.
I remember that.
What's fascinating is that he didn't simply try to replicate the past.
Right.
He took a hard look at the market, recognized the changing landscape, and then with his characteristic boldness, charted a new course. It was a bold move, shifting focus from computers to consumer electronics. I remember when the first iMac came out.
Yeah.
It was a radical departure from anything else on the market.
The iMac was more than just a computer. You know, it was a statement.
It was.
Jobs understood that technology was becoming increasingly integrated into our lives.
Yeah.
And he wanted to create products that were not only functional, but also objects of desire.
That focus on design and simplicity became Apple's hallmark.
It did.
He often talked about the importance of saying no to 1,000 things in order to focus on what truly mattered.
It's a principle that's often overlooked.
It is.
In today's world of endless options and feature creep, Jobs believed that true innovation came from eliminating the extraneous, from distilling a product down to its essence.
And that philosophy extended to the entire user experience.
It did.
He wanted to control everything.
Everything.
From the hardware to the software, to the way products were packaged and sold.
It was a radical approach at the time.
It was.
But it's become the norm today.
Yeah. Companies like Apple and Google have built entire ecosystems around their products.
Exactly.
Creating seamless experiences that lock users in.
But that control, that insistence on doing things his way, also led to conflicts.
The book talks about his clashes with other industry giants.
Right.
His rivalry with Bill Gates.
Of course.
and his often turbulent relationship with Disney during the Pixar years.
Those stories reveal a lot about his personality.
They do.
He was a brilliant negotiator, but he could also be incredibly stubborn and vindictive.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid to burn bridges
No, he wasn't.
if he felt it was necessary to protect his vision.
Right.
The book also delves into his personal life,
It does.
his relationship with his wife, Lorene, and his children, particularly his daughter, Lisa.
Yes.
It's clear that he struggled to balance his demanding career with his family life.
He could be distant and emotionally unavailable.
Right.
Even to those closest to him.
It's a reminder that genius often comes at a price.
It does.
His battle with pancreatic cancer is a poignant part of the story.
It is.
He initially resisted conventional treatment,
Yeah.
opting instead for alternative therapies.
That's right.
It's a decision that has been both praised and criticized.
It has.
It speaks to his independent spirit,
right.
his willingness to challenge the status quo, even when it came to his own health.
Yeah.
But it also raises questions about his judgment
It does.
and his tendency to believe he could control even the uncontrollable.
In the end, he couldn't outrun his illness.
He couldn't.
His resignation as CEO and the transition to Tim Cook marked the end of an era.
It did.
Yeah.
But the legacy he left behind is undeniable.
Absolutely.
He transformed multiple industries.
He did.
From personal computing to music to mobile phones.
Right.
He showed us that technology could be beautiful, intuitive,
Yeah.
and even magical.
Walter Isaacson's biography is a fascinating and complex portrait
It is.
of a truly remarkable man.
It's a book that challenges us to think about the nature of innovation,
Uh-huh.
the role of personality in leadership,
Right.
and the impact that one person can have on the world.
It's a story that resonates even today.
It does.
In a world where technology continues to shape every aspect of our lives.
Absolutely. And if you're looking to delve deeper into the world of technology, business, or even personal development,
Yeah.
I highly recommend checking out lingopediamagazine.com.
It's a great resource.
They offer a fantastic selection of courses and ebooks that might pique your interest.
And speaking of resources, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast for more deep dives into compelling topics.
We'd love for you to share this episode with your friends and colleagues, and if you enjoyed it, please give us a like.
What aspects of Jobs' personality or leadership style did you find most intriguing?
Let us know in the comments. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the life of Steve Jobs.